just like cats, just like dogs, they have their own personalities, they have their own needs. So yeah, it is obviously some attitude changing that's perhaps needed there, but then obviously, we can only do that through educating. And then, many people are usually surprised to find out that the giving of goldfish is still legal, is something that's associated with a thing of the past.
The summer months are upon us, so fairs and carnivals will be dotted around the country, with rides and games offering prizes. The RSPCA wants to make sure that none of those prizes are animals. It's a bit of a tradition to win a goldfish at the fair, but as Billy Jade says, it feels a bit out of date and wants to encourage people around Wales to be a part of outlawing the practice.
Some people obviously they like the idea of winning a fish and think, oh, great, I can get, a new pet, or, especially children, of course, you can understand the appeal there. It's just obviously the welfare implications of that are probably not being thought about, or perhaps not as obvious to everyone, to some people as they would be to others. So even though it might seem like a great idea at the time and an exciting thing to do, which it is exciting to get a new pet, obviously then you could imagine the upset if obviously that does go wrong as well. So obviously, as well as protecting animal welfare, it'd be protecting, children from those circumstances where they're excited to get a new pet and then, they lose them before they even can get them home and get them, into a setting.
The reality is that it's hard to uphold decent animal welfare standards when goldfish are awarded as prizes. They're sat in bags for hours on end, sometimes out in the sun, and then of course a parent who just went out for the day to the fair wasn't necessarily expecting their little one to win a live animal who needs somewhere to live.
Unfortunately, we see animal welfare compromised in these situations. Often fish die before their new owners can even get them home. And obviously, because of the nature of winning a pet as a prize, there's no kind of room for preparation. And, we'd always recommend that anyone that acquires a fish would have a setup ready for them and have all of the relevant provisions in place. And of course, when you win a fish or, another animal as a result of a spur of a moment gain, this isn't possible.
The Welsh Government have floated the idea of an outright ban in the past, according to Billy Jade, and she'd like to see this implemented in the future. The RSPCA will be releasing a manifesto for the upcoming Senedd election that they want parties to adhere to, so there's hope that it will become the law at some stage.
It's a bit of a difficult one through a lack of evidence. Everything the Welsh Government does has to be backed by evidence, of course. We're asked to provide evidence. And while we do get, X amount of reports about this year, with many sort of, some of these fears and fates are travelling, it's obviously a very seasonal thing as well. So perhaps because of those various issues, it hasn't been prioritised by the Welsh Government. But we have received support for such measures within the Senedd. I think we had the issue raised in the Senedd, it was last year, if not the year before.